Ryan, sometimes when we talk to these brands and businesses, one of the first curiosities that come up for them is, what's happening in this space? What if someone gets a hold of my phone number, right? Or gets a hold of one of my customers' phone numbers. And so we get different questions around like phishing or, fraud prevention and protection. You have a lot of experience with building not only fraud protection but prevention, and how are you thinking about building that into Whym and in the space in general?
It's very clear that this has been a problem for a very long time, especially in SMS, because SMS, at the deepest layer, transmits everything in plain text across the entire internet, and everyone who intercepts that message gets to record the contents. And so there's at every layer of the stack, someone is trying to solve this problem in a variety of different ways. Apple was one of the first who said, hey, we're going to encrypt the message before it leaves your phone, and the people who receive it are also going to get it encrypted, but then they can read it, right? But that only works from an Apple phone to an Apple phone.
And that's iMessage.
That's iMessage. Google is now finally supporting that same feature. Like my wife and I on a Google phone can talk to each other today and have the same capability.
Yeah.
But most of our contacts can't. And especially the ones that are on iPhone will never have that cross communication. So they're not solving it for everybody. The carriers are also trying to find ways to address this situation. There's a lot of situations around managing the brand's phone number, making sure that the brand's phone number is never stolen, making sure that all messages coming from the brand's number are actually from the brand. They're working in that space quite a bit. And then protecting the consumer, we've heard a lot of horror stories about like the consumer's phone number being stolen, a kid getting on your phone and using your phone as if they're you, variety of spaces. And so there are, in no time in our history have we ever been as secure as we are now. We've done a lot as a society to solve a lot of these problems, but some of them still exist. And so Whym has a role to play in how we also help you secure everything that you're doing. In particular, the most important thing we need to first solve is making sure that we never take your card information in a way that could ever get it stolen. So we always do that in an in-app browser.
Meaning, do not text us your credit card phone number,
Yes.
credit card number, and we'll never take it that way.
And we'll never ask you for it that way.
Of course.
And there are systems actually that can be on the networks watching messages going across that can say, did that look like a credit card to me? And can try to stop those messages from going through. But those are not going to save you from everything. That's not something that Whym can provide.
Right.
We're not the messaging provider.
But that is something that people should know. You know what I mean? If any experience ever asks you to share a credit card number or
don't send it over the messaging channel.
Do not do that, right?
Don't text it to somebody, DM over Instagram. Don't send it.
That's just a free tidbit today.
and some of these providers are trying to help make sure that if you accidentally do that, that won't actually get through.
Which is great.
Which is really cool. But that's not what Whym is solving. Whym is solving, let's get that card for a transaction on any channel. We don't actually participate in the messaging itself. And so we have key places where we play to make sure that we get your card safely into the vault. And then we never ask for it again if we don't have to. There are key moments, even when you use Apple, occasionally it re-asks you for like your 3-digit code on your card.
Yeah, that's right.
Just to revalidate who you are and make sure that you still have control of the card and you still control this device. But we have this kind of 3-tier relationship that we take when we're taking your card. We look at who you are, we look at the device you're using, and we look at the card that you're giving us at that moment. And we only ever reuse that payment credential if all 3 things match up in each of those transactions. If there's ever a moment when it's still you and it's still the same card but you're on a different device, you'll have to re-enter information with us just to verify that you are who you say you are.
And then we're the ones actually tying that to the mobile number, which is really important to know, right? Because you've got a lot of different, for example, I think still with Shopify, right? And I think it's at Shopify's checkout, I can still enter 10 zeros, right? As my phone number.
Yep.
Or I can enter my mom's phone number, and it's not going to authorize my payment. And so one of the unique decisions that I think Whym has done is we've used the mobile number as a unique ID.
Yep.
Our initial intention of doing that was to eliminate usernames, and passwords are my nemesis, as you know.
That's right. Everyone hates passwords.
Right?
That's right.
Throw the spreadsheet away and whatever, and just use my mobile number and that 6-digit
I hope you're not using spreadsheets.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. I have a binder. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
But I think, we initially wanted to use that for the convenience for the customer. And so it's turned out that a lot of big brands have also made that decision, right? Uber, and I think PayPal's got that where
Everyone's
you can
making that
Venmo,
decision.
and
Amazon,
we did that
yeah.
pretty early on. It's actually how we built our database, which I think was, a great decision because it really was a consumer-centric decision. And so we're tying that payment information together with your mobile phone number. One thing that we like to say is this now allows you to take your mobile phone number and in our environment in a safe way to pay for stuff.
Exactly.
And not only pay for stuff, but now collect things into a cart that you can consider for later. So talk to me a little bit about how Whym operates as the point of sale, not needing these integrations, which we talked about before. What's our job or what's our role in that journey?
Yeah, there's a lot of we get into around how we technically do it. The most important thing that brands need to understand is that we're taking advantage of technologies that have been in the market forever that allow us, one of the most important ones being the in-app web browser that exists on every messaging platform that's ever existed. Like I personally helped get it into Snapchat, but it's on Instagram, it's on your text messaging thread, it's in Drift, Discord, you name it. There's a web browser.
There's actually one even in my my pre-installed messaging
exactly
app on my
on your phone, exactly.
which I never realized. If I just hit the back in-app
takes you right
button,
back to the
it takes
messaging
you
provider.
right back to the messaging thread.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that way sometimes when you're on an iPhone in particular. It kind of feels like you're not in an in-app browser, but you totally are.
And my hope in the future, Ryan, is that we get more embedded, encrypted experiences right inside of messaging.
Well, what you're going to find is that, especially, Google will probably drive this faster than Apple will, but you'll find that really the best technology for allowing third parties to do transactions and technologies and secure communications and things like that inside of other channels is actually the web browser. And there's little in-app browsers everywhere. And you can't even tell they're there a lot of times, but they're in use because they allow third parties to kind of play roles in the technologies that you're using. And everyone has to have them. They're a critical piece of the infrastructure. Every phone provider has worked for years and years and years to get them in there. And today, they're more secure than they've ever been. And you I can't even remember an article in the past 5 years where some serious fraud happened because of it, because they've put a lot of effort into making that a trustworthy space. And it's being used by every company you can imagine to do a lot of things.
And we've got a ton of our brands and businesses actually leveraging that in-app, mobile browser to convert their customers into a text message thread, right? Because you can take Whym's Smart Link and you can use that as a part of your swipe up text to buy offer, text to buy cart, text to buy collection. And so they're living as a part of that experience in the ad stack, right? Or as a part of that experience for swipe up. And also, I think these brands are looking to sidestep the website by trying to get customers to, again, that decision or that intent to buy a lot faster. So they're embedding them in their link in bio tools like Linktree and Beacons and Whoobi. And so, we're kind of seeing these types of speeded up tools to kind of go over top of the actual websites.
Yeah, what they're trying to do is they're saying, hey, look, I know my website doesn't convert very well. I know that Facebook wants me to pay 56 times before I get every sale.
Yeah.
I want to get that customer out of this channel and into a channel where I can talk to them directly without the middleman. And so they're trying to find ways to do that. And Whym is saying, we're going to find really innovative ways to do that for you. But they've got to be very cautious about their strategy for that, because if they do it incorrectly, then they're going to get that stop message that they really don't want from their customer. And so Whym is helping these brands make that conversion to the new channel in very unique and subtle ways that really help the customer feel comfortable and safe the whole time, meanwhile helping the brand, increase the ROI of that first impression and not require them to make so many more impressions to get that customer to close.
That's right. We're building some really unique experiences I'm super excited to talk about in the future that allow us to capture that intent to buy, but still allow the customer to continue, on that experience that they're having consuming content. And the great thing about the conversion, which I know we're working on too, is once you convert that customer out of that channel, if you think about paying 56 times to get an impression to that customer, the average impression is $1.14 on Instagram, right? If you get that customer into a text message channel, you can now market to them for a penny, right?
Exactly.
You just cut your cost to 1/100th of what you would normally be paying, which again is why these channels have become so important for engagement, interacting between customers and brands and their customers. And it just makes a ton of sense from an efficiency standpoint and a monetary standpoint, right?
And when I first came to participate with this company at all, I was nervous about this as a story because I don't want anyone messaging me except for my wife, But yeah, I was watching you use your messaging application to talk to a variety of brands all day long and going, well, clearly there's an audience here of people who want this to work. But you really do need to make good decisions about how you're going to engage those audiences. If you do it right, the way that you guys have been doing it, we have 25,000+ shoppers who would love to hear from us tomorrow.
That's right.
And that's because they know that we're treating them the way that they want to be treated in this space, and they love how we're doing it.
Absolutely.
And as that audience grows, it's going to be incredible.
That's right. And Whym is really, we're taking on that responsibility of being that point of sale, right? Establishing that trust and that confidence for the next generation of consumers who, they don't have the same, they don't have the same experiences that we had for the last 15 years, right? They think about the convenience of buying something where they're interacting directly with a brand. We saw that at Snapchat, right? Messaging was a really important screen there, and it really drove the daily active use. And I know that both you and I are big believers that messaging is going to drive monetization in a major way.
I agree.
Future.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, Ryan, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome.
And it's been really fun to talk about the fintech landscape today.
Great. Cool. All right, we're good.
That's it.